عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Math grade 5. Today we want to learn how to subtract unlike fractions. So our lesson today, subtract unlike fractions. Now watch with me this video.
Adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. Remember that whenever we're adding or subtracting fractions, they must have a common denominator. But what if we're trying to add or subtract fractions that don't have a common denominator? In that case, we must make fractions into equivalent fractions that do have a common denominator. Then we can add or subtract them. Let's see how this is done. The first step is to find the lowest common multiple, or LCM, of the denominators in the fractions we're given. The lowest common multiple of the denominators will be the lowest common denominator, or LCD, and this is the best denominator to use. For example, let's say we're asked to add the fractions 3/50ths and 4/15ths. We see that the denominators 50 and 15 are not the same, so we need to find the lowest common multiple of 50 and 15. We know that both 50 and 15 can be divided by 5. 50 is equal to 10 times 5, so we write this here. And 15 is equal to 3 times 5, so we write this here. Now we draw a circle around the two 5s, the common factor of 50 and 15. To find the lowest common denominator, we multiply the 10 and only one of the two 5s and the 3. And the answer is 10 times 5 times 3 is equal to 150. So 150 is our lowest common denominator. The next step is to rewrite both fractions so they have the common denominator we found in step 1. The first fraction is 3/50ths. To change the denominator 50 to 150, we must multiply it by 3. Therefore, we must also multiply the numerator by 3. So 3/50ths can be rewritten as 3 times 3, or 9 over 150. Now we'll look at the other fraction, 4/15ths. To give it a denominator of 150, we must multiply 15 by 10. And to get the new numerator, we must also multiply the 4 by 10. 4 times 10 gives us 40 for our new numerator. So the fraction 4/15ths can be written as 40 over 150. So 3/50ths plus 4/15ths can be written as 9 over 150 plus 40 over 150. In the third step, we add up the fractions with the common denominator. The denominator of the sum will be 150, and the numerator will be 9 plus 40, which is 49. 49 over 150 cannot be reduced to simpler terms, so the final answer to our question is 49 over 150. So here we'll review the steps we can use for either adding or subtracting fractions which don't have a common denominator. First, we find the lowest common multiple of the denominators in our fractions, and this will be the lowest common denominator in the new fractions we create. Next, we rewrite both fractions so they have the lowest common denominator we found in step 1. Lastly, we add or subtract the fractions with the common denominator to get our final answer. If the final answer can be reduced to lower terms, we do so. Here's a question for you to try. Pause the video and go through the steps we outlined to obtain your answer. Then resume the video and check your answer. First, we see that these two fractions have unlike denominators, so we must start by finding the lowest common multiple of 24 and 30, which will be our lowest common denominator. 24 and 30 are both multiples of 6. 24 is 4 times 6, and 30 is 5 times 6. We draw an oval around the two 6's. Our lowest common denominator is 4 times 6 times 5, which is equal to 120. We must rewrite both fractions so they have a denominator of 120. We'll start with the fraction 19/24. To give it a denominator of 120, we must multiply the 24 by 5. Therefore, to get the new numerator, we must also multiply the 19 by 5, which is 95. So 19 over 24 can be written as 95 over 120. Now we'll have a look at the other fraction, 11/30. To rewrite this fraction with a denominator of 120, we must multiply the denominator 30 by 4. 30 times 4 is 120. Because we multiplied the denominator by 4, we must also multiply the numerator by 4. And 11 times 4 is equal to 44. So the fraction 11/30 can be written as 44 over 120. After writing the two fractions with a common denominator of 120, we now have the expression 95 over 120 minus 44 over 120. The denominator for our answer will be 120. And the numerator will be 95 minus 44, which is equal to 51. However, taking a closer look at the fraction 51 over 120, you may realize that both 51 and 120 can be divided by 3 to give whole numbers, and reduce this fraction to simpler terms. So we'll divide both 51 and 120 by 3. 51 divided by 3 equals 17, and 120 divided by 3 equals 40. So the final answer to the question, reduced to its lowest terms, is 17 over 40.
Okay. This is the meaning, subtract unlike fractions. So today we want to learn how to subtract unlike fractions. Here we have example 7 over 5 minus 6 over 7. The operation here minus. And as you see here, we have the different denominators, means I have alike fractions. So I cannot directly do subtract. Must to find the LCD to the 5 and 7, then make it as a common denominators, then I can subtract the numerators. See with me now this video.
Let us solve unlike fractions using butterfly method. Very easy to solve. So first of all, I'm going to make a butterfly. Okay. Now, I will multiply these two numbers and write down here these two numbers and write down here, and in between whatever the sign, and नीचे इन दोनों को multiply कर दूंगी. 4 into 7, 28. Now, the answer for this is 21 minus 8 is 13, and denominator आ गया 28.
This is the easy way. If you don't to do LCD, to find LCD for the denominators, you can take this way. This is easy way or shortcut. Take the denominator here, multiply the numerator here. 7 times 3 will be 21. Then take the denominator here, multiply the numerator here. 4 multiplied by 2 will be 8. Then draw the line of fraction here. Down, the product between the denominators. 7 times 4 will be 28. And up, the answer of subtraction here, 21 minus 8 equals 13. This is the easy way if you don't want to find the LCD. Continue.
This is the butterfly method to solve the unlike fractions. Let us solve another one. It is of plus. First of all, I am going to make the butterfly like this. Okay. 4 2s are 8. I will write here 3 3s are 9, and in between the sign whatever it is, or denominator 3 into 4, that is 12. So ये क्या बना 8 plus 9 17 over 12.
In this example, I can't do the easy way. So 3 times 3 will be 9 and 4 times 2 will be 8. Then draw now the line of fraction, and down here the denominator, the product of the denominators here. 4 times 3 will be 12. So put here 12. Now here we have add. 8 plus 9 will be 17. So this is the shortcut or the easy way. Continue.
So this is the butterfly method, very easy method to solve the unlike fractions.
What's the meaning of unlike fractions? What's the meaning of unlike fractions? The fractions that have the different denominators, Look to this example. As you see, we have 2 fractions. Look down here to the denominators. Here we have 3, here we have 5. When you have the different denominators, means you have unlike fractions. So I cannot add directly, I cannot subtract directly. Must to be the same denominators here to do plus or minus. It's very important to know and remember every time. We cannot add or subtract the fraction if the fractions are alike. Just we can add or subtract when the fraction like fractions. So how to do or how to make the fractions like fractions? Make the same denominators. How? Using LCD. What's the meaning of LCD? L means least, C means common, D means denominator. Is the least common multiple of the denominators. Now see with me this video.
Okay, subtracting fractions. Okay, in order to subtract fractions, we need to have a common denominator. In this case, we already have a common denominator. So once we have that, then we just simply subtract our numerators. So 3 minus 1 is 2 over 9. Okay? Now, in this video, we're going to look at subtracting where our denominators are not the same, and we're going to learn how to do that. So let's look at some. Okay, 5/7 minus 2/3. Okay, as we said, in order to subtract fractions, we have to have a common denominator. So we need to find a common denominator for 7 and 3. In fact, we want to find the least common denominator, and that's also going to be our least common multiple. So I'm going to list out the multiples of 7. So the multiples of 7 are 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. Multiples of 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Okay, so now I can see that I have 21 and I have 21. So if I kept on going, I would have more multiples, but my least common multiple that 7 and 3 both share is 21. So 5 over 7 is going to be something over 21 minus something over 21. Okay, so now that I found my least common denominator, I need to create equivalent fractions. So 5 over 7 equals something over 21. So what do I do to the 7 to make it a 21? Well, that's times 3. And the equal sign, if I do something to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator. So times 3. And I get 15 over 21. So 5 over 7 becomes 15 over 21. Now I need an equivalent fraction for 2/3. So 2/3 equals something over 21. What do I do to the 3 to make it a 21? Well, it's times 7. So if I do the denominator by 7, I do the numerator by 7, and that's 14. So 2/3 becomes 14 over 21. So now they have a common denominator, equivalent fractions, I can subtract. 15 minus 14 is 1 over 21, and that's my final answer, and that's in simplest form. Let's do some more. Okay, 3/4 minus 3/8. I've got to have a common denominator. I can see that 4 will go into 8, so I know my common denominator is going to be 8. But let me just show you that. Multiples of 4 will be 4, 8, 12, 16. Multiples of 8 will be 8, 16, 24, etc. Okay, so they both share 16, but the least common multiple that they both share is 8, and that's what we want to work with. So that's why I changed it to something over 8. So I've found the common denominator. Now I got to create equivalent fractions. So 3 over 4 becomes something over 8. Well, to get from 4 to 8, I multiply by 2. So I'll do the numerator also by 2, but keep it equal because I've got an equal sign. So that's 6 over 8. 3 over 4 becomes 6 over 8. Well, 3 over 8 is already has a denominator of 8, so I don't have to do anything to it. So 6 over 8 minus 3 over 8, my denominator stays the same. I subtract my numerators, and I get 3 over 8. So 3/4 minus 3/8 equals 3 over 8. Okay? Let's do some more. Okay, 1/2 minus 1/7. All right? Let's list the multiples of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Multiples of 7. 7, 14, 21, 28. Okay, so I can see that the least common multiple of 2 and 7 is 14. And again, if I kept on going out, I'd have more multiples that they share. Okay, 28 would be the next one. But again, we want the least common multiple. Also, you notice 2 times 7 is 14. So in this case, multiplying the denominators, which will always give you a factor, will always give you a... So notice in this case, if we multiply 2 times 7, we would get 14. 2 times 7, multiplying the denominators will always give you a common factor, but it's not always going to be the least common factor. In this case, 2 times 7 is the least common factor. So it is our least common denominator also. Okay, so 1/2 plus 1/7 is something over 14 minus something over 14. All right, so 1/2 equals something over 14. Well, I know half of 14 is 7. Okay, 2 times 7 is 14, 1 times 7 is 7. So 7 over 14. All right, now I need 1 over 7 to equal something over 14. Well, what do I do to the 7 to make it a 14? Well, that's times 2. I multiply the denominator by 2. We've got to multiply the numerator by 2. And that would be 2. So my equivalent fractions for 1/2 and 1/7 are 7/14 and 2/14. So now that I have a common denominator and equivalent fractions, I can subtract. My denominator will be the same, and 7 minus 2 is 5 over 14. And again, this is simplest form because 5 and 14 do not share a factor other than 1 that will go into both of them. Okay? All right, let's do one more. Okay, 4/5 minus 2/9. Okay, I need to get a common factor, and I want to get the least common factor. So I'm going to list the multiples of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, multiples of 9. Now, I know that I'm going to need a multiple of 9 that has a 5 in it, or a 0. okay? Because 5 it ends with the multiples are all 5s or 0. But I know that 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. There's my multiple that ends with a 5. So yes, 45 is the least common denominator, least common multiple. All right, so something over 45 minus something over 45. All right, so I found my common denominator. Now I need to get equivalent fractions. Sum of 4 over 5 equals something over 45. Well, what do I do to the 5 to make it 45? Well, that's times 9. Do it to the denominator. You got to do it to the numerator. That's 36. So my equivalent fraction for 4/5 is 36 over 45. Now I need to do 2/9. So 2/9 equals something over 45. 9 times 5 is 45. So 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, so that's minus 10. Okay, so my equivalent fractions for 4/5 and 2/9 are 36 over 45 and 10 over 45. So now I'll subtract, and I know my denominator will be the same. So 36 minus 10 is 26 over 45. All right, so there you have it. Again, a quick review on how we do this. We have to have a common denominator to be able to subtract. Once we get a common denominator, we need equivalent fractions. So once we get a common denominator, we get equivalent fractions, and then we subtract numerators. Our denominator stays the same, and that's how we subtract when we have uncommon denominators. All right, thanks for watching. See you.
Okay, this is the meaning how to find the LCD and how to add or subtract unlike fractions. So for example, the question here, subtract and write the sum in simplest form if that possible. Right. We have here 4 over 5 minus 1 over 2. The solve here, we cannot directly do subtract because here we have unlike fractions because we have the different denominators. When you have here the different denominators, you cannot add or subtract. So what I do, I try to find the common denominators. Find LCD. Find LCD. Take 5 and 2 and find the prime factors. 5 equal 1 times 5. 2 equal 1 times 2. As you see, the common here 1. The non-common factor will be 2 and 5. So LCD equal 1 times 2 times 5 means 10. Now go back to the first fraction. Here we have 5. Ask yourself, which number times 5 equal 10? Will be 2. So multiply the whole fraction by 2. 4 times 2 and 5 times 2. 4 times 2 and 5 times 2. Then minus. The second fraction, here we have 2. Ask yourself, which number multiply by 2 equal 5? Equal 10. Will be 5. So multiply the whole fraction by 5. 1 times 5, then 2 times 5. 1 times 5, then 2 times 5. Then solve. 4 multiplied by 2 will be 8. 5 multiplied by 2 will be 10. Minus the second fraction now. 1 times 5, 5. 2 times 5 will be 10. As you see now, we have a same denominator. Means I have like fraction. So now I can subtract. Now I can subtract because here we have the common denominators. So 8 minus 5, 8 minus 5 will be 3. And put here the same denominator. Put here the same denominator. This is the answer. As a fraction, this is the answer. If you want to write this fraction as a decimal, you can write 3 over 10 as 0.3. As 0.3. Example 2. Subtract and write the sum in simplest form. 3 over 4 minus 1 over 8. As you see here, I cannot directly subtract because here we have different denominators. When you have different denominators, you cannot add or subtract directly. So what I do, try to find the common denominators. How? Find LCD. Find LCD. So the solve now, take the first denominator for, write the prime factors. 4 equal 2 times 2 means 2 exponent 2. And take 8. 8 equal 2 times 2 times 2 means we have 2 exponent 3. So LCD, the common factors and the non-common factors. So the common here will be 2, but take it in the high power. So take 2 exponent 3. Take 2 exponent 3. So 2 exponent 3 means 2 times 2 times 2 will be 8. So LCD now equal 8. LCD now equal 8. Go back to the first fraction now. 3 over 4. Look to the denominator. Ask yourself, which number times 4 equal 8? Which number times 4 equal 8? 2. So multiply the whole number by 2. 3 multiply by 2 and 4 multiply by 2. So I can write now 3 multiply by 2 and 4 multiply by 2 minus. The second fraction, here we have 8, the same LCD. So keep it the same fraction here, 1 over 8. No change here because the same LCD here. So now you can solve. 3 multiplied by 2 will be 6 and 4 multiplied by 2 will be 8. Now I have 6 over 8 minus 1 over 8. Now I have the same denominators, means I have like fractions. Now I can subtract. How? The rule said subtract just the numerators and put the same denominators. 6 minus 1 over the same denominators. Now 6 minus 1 will be 5 over 8. This is simplified. This is the last answer. Example 3. We have 3 over 5 minus 3 over 10. As you see here, we cannot subtract directly because here we have different denominators, means unlike fractions. So what I do, try to change unlike fractions to like fractions. Find the common denominators. How? Find LCD. So take 5, write the prime factors. 5 equal 1 times 5. Then take 10. 10 equal 2 times 5. Then find LCD. LCD, take the common factors will be 5. Then the non-common factors will be 2. 2 times 5 equal 10. Now go back to the first fraction. Ask yourself, which number times 5 equal 10? Will be 2. So multiply the first fraction here by 2. 3 times 2 and 5 times 2. So I can write here 3 multiplied by 2 and 5 multiplied by 2 minus. The second fraction here, as you see down, we have 10, the same LCD. So no need to change this fraction. Keep it as the same. So we have here 3 over 10. Now you can solve. 3 multiplied by 2 will be 6 and 5 multiplied by 2 will be 10. And here we have the same fraction, 3 over 10. Now as you see here, we have the same denominators, means we have like fraction. So I can now subtract. How? Use the rule. Subtract just the numerators, then put the same denominator. 6 minus 3. 6 minus 3 over the same denominators here over 10. 6 minus 3 will be 3. 3 over 10 is simplified. The last answer, if you want to write the answer as a fraction. If you want to write the answer as a decimal, you can write 3 over 10 equal 0.3. Equal 0.3. In this example, we have two operations here between the fractions. We have add, then subtract. So as you know, the order of operations from left to the right, from left to the right. So when you start from left to the right, the first operation will be plus. So must to do plus then minus, plus then minus. So as you see here, we have unlike fractions. We have unlike fractions because here we have 7, here we have 2 different denominators. So I cannot add directly. So to change the unlike fractions to like fractions. How? do or make common denominators. Find LCD. Find LCD. Start from 7. Write the prime factors. 7 equal 1 times 7. Then take 2. 2 equal 1 times 2. Then take 14 here. 14 equal 2 times 7. So as you see here, no common factors between all. We have non-common factors 2 and 7. 2 and 7. So LCD equal 2 times 7 will be 14. Will be 14. So go back to the first fraction, to the denominator here 7. Which number times 7 equal 14? Which number times 7 equal 14 will be 2. So multiply the whole fraction by 2. 1 times 2 and 7 times 2. 1 times 2 and 7 times 2. Plus, here, ask yourself which number times 2 will be 14. Which number times 2 will be 14? 7. So multiply the whole number here, multiply the whole fraction here by 7. So you can write 3 times 7 over 2 times 7. 3 times 7 over 2 times 7. Minus. Here no need to change because the denominator here 14 equal LCD. No need to change here. Drop the same fraction. 5 over 14. Now you can solve. 1 times 2 will be 2. 7 times 2 will be 14. And here plus. Then 3 times 7 will be 21. And 2 times 7 will be 14. Here minus. And here the same fraction. As you see now down, we have 14, 14, 14. The same denominators. The same denominators. Means I have here the like fractions. The like fractions. I can add, then subtract. How? What is the rule? Take the same denominator down, then up, add, then subtract. 2 plus 21, 2 plus 21 minus 5. 2 plus 21 will be 23. 23 minus 5, 23 minus 5 will be 18 over 14. 18 over 14. This fraction not the last answer because I can do here simplest form. When you find GCF between 18 and 14, will be the GCF here will be 2. So divide by 2 up and divide by 2 down. Divide by 2 up and divide by 2 down. Now 18 divide by 2 will be 9. And 14 divided by 2 will be 7. Now, this is the last answer. This is simplified. This is simplified to this fraction. Here we have some videos. When you have free time, you can see all these videos. And this is our lesson today. And now who has a question?
Master, can you take the attendance for the boys first?
Okay, no problem. Now who has a question? Through our lesson.
أستاذ أنت تقدر تحصل LCD في البترفلاي ولا لا؟
Yes, you can. You can use the easy way, the shortcut using butterfly, no problem. And you can use the prime factors, then find the LCD. It's up to you. Up to you.
Okay.
What is the name of our lesson today? What is the name of our lesson today?
Subtract unlike fractions.
Great. Subtract unlike fractions. What's the meaning of unlike fractions? What's the meaning of unlike fractions?
The fractions that don't have the denominator.
Can I add directly if I have unlike fractions?
No.
No. What I do?
We have to find the least common multiple, and then times the denominator and the numerator, and then you'll get the same. Denominator, and then you can minus.
Great, Fati. This idea in addition and in subtraction, the same idea. When I have unlike fractions, I cannot add or subtract directly. So, as you see, as you know, as you remember, just we need to change the fractions from unlike fraction to the like fraction. find LCD to the denominators, then make it the common denominator.
Ustad, I have question.
Then we have the like fraction, then we can add and subtract. Yes, tell me.
I can make the butterfly in the book. Is okay.
Yes, 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 it's okay. This is shortcut. This is shortcut. It's up to you. You can use any way, no problem. Okay? Who has a question? Right. Let us now to take attendance now.
أستاذ إذا سوينا ضرب حق إذا سوينا الشورت كت مالت البترفلاي يطلع الناتج نضرب الناتج.
Yes. When you use the butterfly, as you see the denominator of the answer equal the product of the denominators inside the fractions, and do a cross multiplication. Take the first denominator, multiply by the second numerator, then take the second denominator, multiply by the first numerator, then you can add or subtract. Okay? Bati?
نعم أستاذ.
Great. Harib?
نعم أستاذ.
Thank you. Hamad Ali?
نطلع. نعم أستاذ.
Hey, Hamad Ali.
نعم.
Okay, you can leave. Mansour Ali.
No.
Yes, Mansour. Hamdan Ahmed.
نعم.
Great. Khalid Khalil.
نعم. نعم.
Great. Great. Daniel. Okay, Daniel. Zayed. Zayed.
نعم أستاذ.
Okay, Zayed. Sultan Ali.
نعم أستاذ. نعم.
Sultan Ghazi. Sultan Ghazi. Sultan Ghazi.
نعم أستاذ.
Okay. Amir. Amir.
نعم أستاذ.
Okay. Abdullah Al-Hammadi.
نعم أستاذ. باي.
Bye. Abdullah Rashid.
نعم أستاذ.
Okay, Abdullah. Abdullah Muhammad
أستاذ. أستاذ. نعم.
سعيد حطيتك حضور.
أستاذ.
نعم.
أوكي.
اوكي.
نعم
عبد الله.
أستاذ.
نعم.
أستاذ أطلع. أستاذ أطلع.
اطلع. عبد الله الأحبابي.
نعم أستاذ.
نعم أستاذ.
عبد الله مسعود. عبد الله مسعود.
نعم أستاذ.
اوكي عبد. عمر أشرف.
نعم أستاذ.
تمام. عمر الشامسي. عمر الشامسي.
هلا أستاذ.
أستاذ أنا موجود.
اوكي. فلا
أستاذ
أنا عامر. نعم. أستاذ أنا عامر.
اوكي عامر. مايد.
نعم.
اوكي. محمد الحمادي.
أستاذ.
اوكي. محمد سعيد السريحي.
أستاذ
محمد سعيد. ايه اللي طلع اسمه يطلع. محمد سعيد السريحي.
أستاذ أنا محمد شيء.
مو موجود محمد سعيد. طيب محمد السهيل موجود. مطاوع. مطاوع absent. طيب معاذ.
Here.
Great, Muaz. Now all boys, you can leave now. Now we will transfer to the girl list.
أستاذ أنا عامر.
Okay, عامر present. موجود، حضرتك موجود. Okay, أسيل.
Here.
يازيا.
Here, Mr.
Good.
Here.
ريناد.
I'm here, Mr.
Okay. روضة. روضة. روضة ناصر. absent. طيب شمسة.
Here, Mr.
Okay, thank you. شيخ أحمد.
Yes.
Thank you. شيخة بدر. شيخة بدر. شيخة بدر. absent. لطيفة. لطيفة. لين. 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 طيب absent. ماريا خلف.
نعم Mr.
Thank you. مروة. مروة. مروة ياسر. absent.
مستر أنا لطيفة بخيت موجودة.
Okay. مريم.
Here.
Okay.
Mr. Marwa is here, but she went to the bathroom. Mr.
Yes.
I was here, but my computer it lagged and it glitched and it got off. So
You are Marwa?
yes.
Yes. Okay. مهرة فيصل.
Here.
مو سعيد.
Here.
نغم.
Here.
Thank you. نورة.
Here.
Thank you, نورة. هاجر. Yes. هاجر.
Here.
Thank you,
Yes.
هاجر. مهرة خلفان.
Here, Mr.
Thank you, Mahra. So this is our lesson today, how to subtract unlike fractions. Thank you for your listening. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.